For the front shocks, first thing you need to do is take off the wheel. There's the shock right there, the top mount and the bottom mount. Here's a new part. He's running a Gabriel shock. There's the part number for the fronts. Both sides are going to be the same. Okay, I was having a little bit of a hard time here holding the top, which is the part you're supposed to hold while you tighten the nut, and getting this nut off right here. So what I did was I took a pair of vice grips, I grabbed the top collar of the shock real tight, and then I'll try to hold this and do it at the same time, but using a ratcheting wrench I kept going. So I'm going to do this. I need both hands, and take the top off and then show you the bottom. So he was complaining his truck rode like crap. Now, as you can see, this shock was mounted up here. All I did was push it down. This is pushed all the way down, and it doesn't pop back up. Normal shocks will return to the outward position once you push them in. So definitely a horribly bad shock. For the bottom, you're just going to take a 17mm wrench and go lefty counterclockwise to undo it. It's going to have a welded on nut on the other side, so you only need the one tool. So here is the old one versus the new one. Obviously this old one is the dirty one on top. As you can tell, the new one is resting in the extended position, where the new one has no internal gas pressure at all, and it'll just stay wherever you put it. If I pull it apart, it'll stay apart. If I push it together, it'll stay together. So next step is to match this. So the mount goes in between these two bushings. So on the new one, you put the one metal ring where it faces up, cups up. Put the one metal rubber bushing on top. Then you're going to slide it in to the position. Then you're going to make it opposite on the other end. You're going to put the bushing, then this metal washer, and then the lock nut last. Alright, so let's do that. Well, that wasn't... You got to use some muscles for this. So, first thing you want to do is bring it through here, through the inside of the control arm. Put the top through the hole. Then you have to lift it like so. Alright, so it's going to be like that. And you lift it up. Then you line it up here in the hole. Put the bolt through. Put the bolt through the hole here. And then we'll do the top. Alright, so we got the bolt in now. Torque it down real nice. If you want to be overly cautious, or if you just like doing it by the book, you can go ahead and go to the dealer torque specs, get the torque specs, and torque this bolt down to spec. I just do it, since I pretty much have done a whole bunch of these, I do it to my own little torquing spec, but more or less, if you can't move it anymore on these suspension bolts, then you're good. If you're a muscle man and you happen to be just a beast, then you're gonna have to be careful. Go get a torque wrench. So let's do the top. So here's the top. There's one metal and one rubber bushing. Then on the top, we're gonna slide the other rubber bushing, the other washer, and then we're going to screw on the nut. Now, since all this stuff is brand new, you should be able to torque this down without bending the damn shock tip up here, because it's not all rusted together and it doesn't have shit all over it. So I'm going to torque it down and show you what it should look like. Alright, so torqued it down. It should be a nice little bulge that's even with the edges all the way around. See that? So that'll hold it nice and snug in here. I used vice grips. It's kind of hard to see, but I used vice grips to hold the top so it didn't spin while I was ratcheting like this. I'm gonna give it one more little, like a eighth of a turn, quarter of a turn to make sure it's perfect, and then I'm gonna move to the back. That's all there is to it. Go ahead and then put the wheel back on, and you're totally done. So simple. I don't really know why people pay to get this done. So hopefully this video can help you. Alright, here's the old one. As you can tell, it's just like the front. I compressed it and it's stuck. This one isn't even fully extended because I have this wire on it. That's to make it so when they package it, it doesn't get locked on the open position or the valves get messed up. So mount one side, then cut this, then mount the other side. That's what we're going to do. Now if you were changing the stud that holds it, they do send you one of these repair sleeves. So the bolt will go through the repair sleeve. The repair sleeve would be the part that, you know, stays flush with the mount here. So since I'm not changing out the studs that are in the car, I'm not going to use this. So to undo the driver's side rear, you don't have to jack the car up or anything as long as you're not a total fat ass. So this bottom one's going to have a 17mm nut, and then you just follow the shock up. I'm sure you can see that one. That's also going to have a 17, then you just wiggle it off since it comes straight off this shaft. So it's just going to slide straight off. Okay? Pretty simple. Alright, so you slide the new shock on. This one does not come with new hardware, so you have to reuse the old hardware, so don't get rid of that. Okay? So, I wish I had another cameraman, but I put it on hand tight. I'm going to tighten it down a little bit so it still moves like this. Then I'm going to cut this wire with a pair of dikes, slide this over this shaft, and then put the old hardware on. And then I'm going to torque it all down. Alright, the passenger side is different. It comes out the back side. Okay, so the front one went towards the front of the car. The passenger side goes towards the back of the car. Same thing, two 17mm nuts, slide the thing right off, and then we'll put it on. Well, 1 out of 4 shocks was actually not totally dead. So, anyways, I'm going to put this last one on, and then I'll show you the back all put together. Alright, here's the passenger rear now. Tighten it up real nice and tight. So remember, this one faces the back. Make sure it says on the shock, but see it says top. That means that goes up. So you don't want this thing catching water, right? So if it looks upside down, it probably is. And then driver's side. Very simple job. So the tools you're going to need is a jack stand, a tire iron or socket, impact gun, however you take off your wheel, pair of dikes, pair of vice grips, 17mm long box wrench to get some torque on it so you can break nuts loose, 17mm ratcheting wrench, and a 14mm ratcheting wrench or box wrench. The box wrench is going to take you way longer. So if you don't have ratcheting wrenches, I suggest you should go get them, because you can't grab the top of the shock and put a ratchet on it at the same time. So you have to have a wrench. And then lastly, you're going to need a wrench with a 17mm socket. Other than that, you're just going to need your normal cleaning supplies. and maybe a wire brush if you'd like to clean off your studs if they're pretty nasty.